Oh, okay. It
Oh
tripped
boy.
me up. Okay, we're live for real this time.
Okay.
Okay. What's up, everybody? This is Ryan. I've got Josh on the line. I'm an idiot, so I guess if you immediately stream with YouTube, you don't have to push the button, but if you schedule it ahead of time, you have to push the go live button. So I've been live streaming for like 4 or 5 years and I hadn't figured that out. So, what's up, everyone? Thanks for joining us. All right. So, let's just see if anyone is actually watching at the moment.
I see the like counter going up, so I think that's a yes.
Yeah. Usually it takes a couple minutes for people to jump in.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know what the weather's. I heard you guys got a winter storm out there recently.
Oh yeah. Everything is white outside. It is completely covered in snow right now.
Oh yeah, we got a something like, I don't know, 10 centimeters of snow on Friday, and then it's minus 23 this morning, so it's gotten really crappy again.
Yeah, I can't compare to that, but
Yeah. All
still minus
right.
3.
Awesome. What's up, everybody? I know there's a couple people watching. Could you just let me know if Josh's audio is coming through loud and clear?
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Cool. We'll see how that's doing. What's up, AWH, Bargav, Rober, and the tracks? Everyone else? I have it on like really low latency, so it'll probably take them a while to hear what we're actually saying.
Okay, okay.
Cool. Sounds like it's clear. Hey, what's up, Florian and everybody else? Okay, well, with that, let's go ahead. Okay, it's a bit on the low side, but he can be heard. Um, that's okay. I think that'll work, hopefully. All right, so yeah, I don't think I can increase it from my end. Let me see if I can.
I'll try to get nice and cuddly with the mic. I have a habit of not doing that, even though I have a dynamic mic and you're supposed to.
Oh yeah. Okay, actually, I can. I think I can adjust it. Could you give that a shot, Josh?
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, it's definitely louder on my audio mixer there.
Okay. I can give a listen on the stream too.
Just bear with us while we do the technical stuff.
And then more technical stuff after.
Yep. The non-technical technical stuff.
Who's the guest? Me.
All right, so my guest today is Josh. So Josh and I actually worked together in our previous employments. So Josh was one of the main backend developers, and I was a lowly mobile developer, mostly on the Android client, but I also helped out with the iOS client application. Okay, apparently it is fine now, so
Nice.
that should do. Thank you, everyone, for just bearing with us on that. And let's get started. So I believe I have your Twitter in the description box below, Josh.
Mhm.
At CMU, sorry, I can't read. At CMYUI_. Is there anyone else people can follow you? Like, I know you do some streaming on Twitter
Uh,
sometimes.
I don't particularly use social media too much, to be honest. I'm more of like um I have a Twitch. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But
Sure,
I
yeah.
stream sometimes. Yeah, I have a Twitch.
Plug away.
I don't know. It's fine. Don't worry about me.
Okay. Well, if
I'll
nothing
send
else, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
Of course. Yeah,
So,
happy to learn some stuff.
awesome. So, just to give everyone a heads up, I'm going to open up the Figma file. So, I am sort of building a ride-sharing application. I know Florian appreciated the name I gave to it. I won't explain it again because I've already explained it twice Okay, I'll explain it one more time. So Uber is German for above or over, and Unter is German for under. So it's kind of just a play on Uber, obviously. And I have some pretty strict requirements for this application, including a really tight timeline for it. So I was pestering Josh a couple days ago, asking him some questions about the backend design. And then we got to me asking him to actually jump on the live stream. And he kindly agreed. So Josh has a lot more, like, Josh is a backend developer. So I'm really excited to hear his sort of thoughts and perspectives on the backend design. One little bit before I think we just switch over to rambling at each other. I'm going to be using real-time database for the user data, and then Firebase authentication for the authentication. And the chat SDK is going to be handled with Stream. So I think those are all the main details. And yeah, what do you think so far, Josh?
I guess it's pretty interesting. I'm just looking through the designs now. It's actually pretty cool. I didn't know you had this much like planned out. I am lacking a bit of experience in Firebase, but I think probably some of, or hopefully my knowledge translates pretty well. I guess, so one important question on the back end is like, what scale are you looking to create this for? Like, if you don't, if you're looking to like make something that really scales up to like a lot of users, you're probably going to want to consider that from the beginning because, or at least have that in mind. Whereas if you know your audience base is going to be rather small, there are some like simplifications you can make that'll save you time. I guess, are you looking to build like an MVP or are you looking to kind of build something that will scale, sort of like we were doing at Stay at the previous company?
Yeah, this would absolutely be like an MVP that I'm looking to build.
Okay.
So scaling, like I absolutely want it to function properly. I'm actually going to get my girlfriend to help me test it out. I'll have her drive out miles away and give me a ride somewhere. But
Right.
not miles away, but it has to function properly. And I want it to be a well-built application. But in terms of the back end, not looking for scaling, and just because of the time frame of it, simplifications are absolutely desirable.
So, for me, there's a bit of uncertainty around where the boundaries lay between what Firebase is going to do for you versus what you actually have to build.
Okay.
Um, so do you have an idea of kind of what your plan of action was for like, are you going to be building like actual like Python applications, for example, or something like that? Or were you thinking, also, what sort of maybe infrastructure were you thinking of? I don't know if Firebase provides you some kind of hosting, like, at Stay we were using Kubernetes, for example.
Yeah.
Uh, so do you have any sense of what kind of plan you had in that area, or not sure yet?
Yeah, so I'm planning to use real-time database for the user data.
Yeah.
So that basically allows you to do how can I say this? It's sort of like one table that's represented as a JSON tree. But if I recall correctly, it's been years since I used Firestore or Firebase real-time database. I can select, say, for example, the first child node. I guess if I could, let's jump into Excalidraw for a second.
Yeah.
Did that link work out for you?
I am in the Excalidraw. I don't know if we can see each other. I'll put like a square on the screen.
Okay.
Oh, actually, it's just on pure Excalidraw though.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's a room link actually. Oh, I see. There we go. Never mind.
Okay, cool.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Oh, that's too big. So yeah, so there's kind of like the root of the tree, and then what I was thinking is this is going to be a little bit hard to do, but the rough structure I had in mind for the user data would be somewhat equivalent to like a table of users and a table of rides, but that it's definitely not an SQL table, so I don't want to get mixed up with that. But yeah, they're roughly equivalent. I was thinking I would have like a table of users and a table of rides or the equivalent of that.
Mhm.
Kind of like the schema or whatever you want to call this on this side.
Right.
And basically, all of this would be handled through Firebase. So all I would need to do is configure a Firebase dashboard. Can you actually see the? Do you have the stream open?
Yeah.
Okay, if
It's
you
pretty
could,
good.
it'll it'll probably take a minute to get there, but it basically gives me this dashboard where I can add rules in like a JSON tree structure. But we can possibly worry about that later. I think the important detail is it kind of forms like a JSON tree, but I could select either the rides node or the users node, so that way I'm not returning all the data every
Yeah, and I
request.
assume like that would probably be like by ride ID or whatever. I assume you wouldn't want to return all the rides to all the users. That would
No,
probably be a bit of a security issue. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
But if you
So
can do that,
and yeah, and it'll take care of all the hosting and all that stuff. Luckily, so I don't need to do anything beyond messing around with this dashboard.
but is that purely, hmm. So is that purely a database or is that, I guess it's maybe the lines are being blurred a bit between the edges because it's also returning real-time data to each client. Um,
Yes.
so you don't need like a REST endpoint to like fetch the data because the clients are just going to be hitting Firebase directly, I suppose.
Yeah, so it's been a while, but I believe Firebase does allow you to use REST. In this particular case, I'm pretty limited to using their client-side SDKs to do the work there. And what that'll do is that'll handle like the caching, and I won't actually have to write any any HTTP um, boilerplate on the client side.
I wonder though. So if it's, were you planning on having the clients hit real-time DB directly for like sending data, for example?
Essentially, like I was looking into it, and people in the chat correct me if I'm wrong here, but my idea was so real time database is a lower latency option compared to Firestore, which is another database like thing they have. And
Hmm.
it basically gives you listeners. So if I understand it correctly, let's say I have the driver indicates that the passenger was picked up. I believe let's say I make a call to update that, say for example the status of the ride, that should be reflected both on the passenger's client and the driver's client.
So are you able to add custom like validation logic around those calls though? Because that's like one of the things that like a backend will usually get you, right? You can say you can make sure that they can't mess up the data or send data that's invalid, right? That's sort of what you
I
would get with like an endpoint.
Yeah, I don't have a great answer to that.
Okay, that's something to
Yeah.
figure out, I guess. Because they're I'm sure they have that planned in somewhere. Maybe it's that rules tab. I'm not exactly familiar.
Oh, so for the rules tab, that's going to be read and write access. Possibly more features than that. So I have to apologize to everyone. I'm not great with Firebase. I've used it once before, and Josh writes his own backends, so he doesn't use tools like this.
Firebase has
But
rules for that, I think. Coding and flow, did you say that's Florian? Yeah, see the rules tab. I think that's probably the right thing. Because
yeah.
you'd probably want to add methods of access, like for reading data, for example, this user can only read there,
Oh, I
or
get
for
you. So
writing.
yes, yeah, we
Yeah,
definitely.
for
Yeah.
I wonder. You can maybe add specific methods of writing, edit rules. Okay. This is gonna be a learning session for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, to give some background to everybody, I generally write like I started from writing TCP servers up from the ground, so I kind of have like a rather no low level knowledge of this stuff, but using something like Firebase is a bit new to me.
Yeah. It ideally I would have written the backend, but there's some reasons and requirements based on sponsorship of the tutorial that will eventually be born out of this application that uh, better to use Firebase,
Mhm.
especially given the timeline.
Lots of
But
experience. Yeah, there definitely seems benefits to be benefits. Like even just hitting this, you can basically code your entire backend as a rules engine, it seems like. Synchronize the local
Interesting.
data. I mean, I assume from what I'm seeing. Expression-based rules engine. Database security rules to define how your database should be structured and when the data can be read or written to. When integrated with Firebase authentication, developers can know who has access to what data and how they can access it. Yeah, okay, that's the part I was missing, I guess. This.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I unfortunately I misunderstood you earlier. Um, but yeah.
cool. Okay, so I guess we're gonna have to think about how to write those, but maybe we can just go over the high level for now, of maybe like what data is stored, and
Yeah.
maybe we can go into when people can write and read them.
Yeah, for sure. And I can jump into their documentation later because I know some of that stuff we can handle with their client SDK, but obviously the rules have to be set up properly.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's just making sure that like a client can't do something to mess up the data in the database and then maybe like crash another client or something.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do like you have users and rides. Um, remember, I think we talked a little bit about maybe splitting vehicle data into a separate table of its own so you can have like a one-to-many relationship. I don't know if that's something you'd actually want to consider. I think it's a bit more flexible than this stuff. But the rest looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah, we could certainly consider doing that. Like initially, as kind of a joke, I thought it'd be funny if the user could like literally say, for example, give someone a ride with a donkey or something like that, or like the front handlebars of their crappy 1980s 10 speed or something like that. So, but I think with Firebase, it would be pretty easy to separate that data out.
Yeah, yeah. You just probably store like in the vehicles table, you would have, vehicle ID, but then you could also have user ID, and then you could find it's the same as SQL. Maybe I'm thinking about this kind of as if it's SQL. Maybe that's not the best practice, but
Hey,
um,
you're already ahead of me. I don't know. I'm
that
a
could be
client
useful.
developer.
Um, do you want to try that? Because I don't
Sure.
actually think it's much more effort. Okay, so I can maybe
Actually,
change
yeah,
my
give her if you.
um.
I'm hoping you have edit
Whoa,
access.
that's a crazy.
Oh,
That's a
that
font.
Comic Sans.
I'll just copy. Whoops. I'll just copy this one and then work with it. How about that? Nitpick, I would probably this is like good practice is probably end all your tables with an S because you're kind of it's a table of users, right? It's a table of rides. It's a table of all of the resources in the table,
Okay,
rather than a specific thing. That's a giga nitpick there. Um,
that's okay. I
maybe
don't want
this
to.
is
I
okay. So you might
like to stick with the conventions as much as
you
possible.
might have like a vehicle ID, then you'd probably have like a user ID, like which you could also call it driver ID maybe to be more specific, but it's probably fine. Which user owns this vehicle? You might want to have. Oh, one other thing I noticed. I guess in this case, if someone deleted their user, you'd be doing a hard delete. That might be something to consider. Like,
Okay.
let's say, for example, we were always doing soft deletes where we wouldn't actually delete data. There are some cases where, like, legally you can't delete data, but I don't think it's like in the case of users. Um,
Okay.
trying to think. I'll just take these for now. We don't have to consider that. But generally, we would have like a status column. We call it status, but you could call it like row status or whatever.
Okay.
Um, where you'd have whether the user is active or whether they've been deleted, so that when you actually try to delete the user, instead of literally removing them from the table, you would just set their status to deleted, and then in all of your fetch queries, you would just kind of exclude users with that status, and that kind of
Okay.
allows you to do that. Okay, so let's do like a photo URL here.
That makes sense. I believe what Josh is getting at here, we certainly dealt with this to some degree. There's legal concerns around storing and deleting user data. And I believe also depending on the jurisdiction, you have to like hold on to it for a certain period of time. So
Yeah.
those are definitely concerns. I'm not going to be publishing this application. So
Okay.
um,
Oh, wait, like ever or temporarily, not
ever.
publishing?
I
Okay.
I'll have it so that people can download it and set it up
Mhm.
if they wanted to. But yeah, this isn't going to be Play Store. Otherwise,
Okay.
I wouldn't have named it Winter.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say like just for knowledge, maybe it's also good to know like you'd probably want to have like a terms they accept when they're going into being a driver. And
Yeah.
then maybe throw that as a separate table. Yeah, generally I would actually like what we did at Stay is we had a contracts table or something like that. And that would store all the versions of the contracts as administrators update them. But then we would also have the contract agreements where every time a user agrees to any terms of service, it would get logged in there. And then you could kind of track back every time they've agreed to anything. So you know when they
Yeah.
signed V1, you know when they signed V2, etc. But we don't need to worry about that, I don't think.
Yeah, it is
Um,
interesting info. I'm glad you're mentioning it though. Like for the people listening, it's still very interesting. It's
yeah.
important stuff to know.
Yep. Um, so here you have a description of the vehicle, but it might be useful to store like the make and model and maybe the license plate. Because I'd imagine like if someone, I know they do that on Uber, for example. If you're gonna pick someone up, it'll show like what the color of the car is. Like it has a picture of the car actually, and then it'll show the license plate so that you can easily find it when the car is coming.
Yeah.
And actually, I learned this from an interview I was doing at my job. There's actually an API where you can give it the make, model, and color of the car and get a picture of it. Mhm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that actually could be useful for this movie.
Wow.
Um, make, I don't know what to call these. Make, model, license plate.
Sure.
I think with the make, model, oh, maybe like the color. I don't know if you want to use use in your.
I do. I am Canadian. All you Americans
Um,
watching, you're great people, but yeah.
yeah. Do you want to? I don't know if it's Jason. I guess you don't really need to type this, but maybe it might be useful just for like understanding.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it doesn't hurt.
okay. This would probably just be, whoops. Xscaler draws some funny behavior when you select a string like that. Oops. Yeah, it does
We can
have some
do
funny.
Python syntax.
Yeah,
Josh is primarily a Python developer,
sometimes allegedly.
allegedly. Yep.
Actually, it's funny. At my current job, I'm doing more like JavaScript and TypeScript now.
Oh yeah.
Not by choice, but
Yep.
okay. So we have like vehicle ID, user ID. So vehicle ID is a unique identifier for the vehicle. User ID allows you to link that vehicle back to whoever the driver is, like whoever owns it. Photo URL. Actually, I guess you don't really need that anymore if we did that API integration.
Um,
Oh, there.
what is that API called?
Yeah, I should find that. He told me it exists, so I'm just trusting that. What is it called? Get car picture from make and model API.
Vehicle images API?
Hey, I think it worked. Uh, make, model family, model range, variant, body size, and year. This might be the thing. I don't know. Oops, that's a really long link.
I wonder if this is
That
what
might be
Uber
it.
actually uses.
Yeah, well, at their scale, they might have just made one, to be honest. But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, because you don't really want to rely on third parties if you don't have to.
Yep.
That's another good tidbit advice, I guess.
Yep.
Um, make
As I
model.
rely heavily on third party
No, I mean
backend.
it's really fine at like the scale or like for a practice project, but like for
Yeah.
example, I run an OSU server. If anyone happens to know what OSU is, it's a game where it's a rhythm game, and we have to mirror some data from the official server, and there's a lot of third-party services that'll do that for us, but um, we basically have like 50 to 150 users online all the time playing the game. So, even if the third party service is down for like 30 minutes a day or not even, that's pretty significant. Like there's definitely players that are playing in that time zone. We have players across like all time zones pretty much. So
Mm.
it does like kind of start to matter. Whereas if you're just using, some integration to that kind of API when you're like, opening a Python client to like play around with something, it doesn't matter so much because the chance of it being up is like, actually I measure uptime. It's like 99.6% on like the worst one. But like when you have 150 users online, that does kind of matter because they start noticing it and it really degrades service. So if you can make like an in-house solution that has 99 point, a couple of nines uptime, it really starts to actually make a difference. That's something we're running into on my personal project right now.
Is it, that's an interesting thing, and this applies to not just third party services, but third party libraries. Like almost always what you'll get is you'll tend to get some upfront convenience and upfront time saved. But the moment your use case starts to sort of deviate into um, anything that the library or the service doesn't support, then you start to run into issues. So that's
Yeah,
an
like in,
interesting decision you're always having to make as a developer, whether you're in front end or back end, the trade
Mhm.
off between using a library and not.
Yeah, imagine if Uber sometimes their car API picture just didn't work, right? And they, maybe like if especially if they weren't handling it or something. Imagine if it threw an error and it crashed the app, or if it just like showed, people weren't able to find the car or something like that. Like it really starts to matter when you get to
Yeah,
like a larger scale.
especially
And
yeah, at a scale like that.
I don't know why I'm rewriting these to be honest.
That's okay.
Um, okay.
Cleaning up my mess.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a consistency freak sometimes.
That's okay.
Um,
I normally
okay.
am when I'm writing code, but when I'm doing like rough stuff, it's usually pretty
Oh, right, we don't need these here. Yay, we have a table for this now. Okay, so avatar photo URL. So what else would you want to store for a user? I know we talked about this driver and passenger thing. Oh, right, that's because you're using real time. Yeah,
Yeah,
this.
I wanted to revisit that because so Josh and I were talking earlier, and Josh was thinking we might be able to get rid of the type, but
So I thought about it a bit. I think it's what I'm used to having is kind of users and sessions split off from each other, or well, I call them accounts and sessions because I think they're both a user. Like a user is comprised of persistent data, like user ID, username, things that don't change on each login, and then session data, which is like tip. Oh yeah, actually, how are you gonna do session tokens or authentication? Maybe
oh, it's
Firebase.
all Firebase. Auth will
Yeah,
handle that.
okay. So that's another boundary I'm gonna have to figure out. Um, I don't know if there's value in splitting a user into an account in a session. For now, I think we can run with the assumption that it's not. But like maybe that's something to consider. If it starts getting to a point where you have like a lot of data in here that's changing very frequently, and then you have a lot of data that's not changing very frequently, um, drawing that boundary between what's actually the session data and what's actually the user data or the account data might have some benefits just for clarity, I guess.
So
But I
if I
think
understand you correctly, so the account would be like the static data or mostly static data that we don't necessarily have to have all the time, whereas like the session would be the user's active session, like when they're logged
yeah,
in or using the
yeah,
app.
it's like their active state that's changing very frequently, like whether they're a driver. Because it to someone's account, they're not really a driver or a passenger. They can be both, right? It's just the
Yes.
current state of their account
Yep.
in the app. So that's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of separate, right? Same with the status here. Uh, Actually, splitting this off I was gonna say something, but it's kind of not true. Yeah, okay. But for now, I think this is fine. It'll
Okay.
work.
The one thing that I ran into, a lot of the UI or sorry presentation logic, I should say, is going to be actually driven by that type.
Mhm.
And I thought about this. There's certain parts in the application where, or in the flow of the client, where I have to make sure the user can't change that state. So, for example, my thinking is anytime they're in the passenger dashboard or the driver dashboard, while they're in there, and then anytime they are actively participating in a ride, they can't change that state because if they did, it would totally screw things over with the current design.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
outside of that, I'm basically saying whatever you want to do. Like if you're in the dashboard and you're not actively in a ride, you can hop over to the profile page and go into passenger mode if you want.
Mhm.
Um, but
Right.
that is like a concern because that one thing, passenger driver, currently dictates the majority of the user interface.
Yeah, so I think that'll probably be in that rules engine we were talking about with the real-time DB, if I
Hmm.
understand correctly. All of that sort of, so you'd have to do a lot of like manual kind of logic there to figure out whether they're able to switch certain fields, or update certain fields, or maybe what they're able to update certain fields to. Because I know in the context of like status, there's three, right? So you might be able to switch from searching to en route, but not searching to inactive. I don't think that's true. That was just a random example. Or maybe from en route to inactive, but not from en route to searching directly. I'm not sure, but stuff like
Um,
that.
they're able to cancel at any point. So yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, and then it's tricky because in the case of a cancellation, you need to update the driver, but you also need to update the passenger, right?
Yeah.
And the driver probably can't update the passenger, or maybe it depends how you design it, I guess.
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting. So probably the ride itself, at the very least, needs like a canceled state.
hmm. And then,
I hadn't thought about that before, but that's true.
yeah, there's gonna be some interesting things around that. That's kind of like, in the context of what we were doing at Stay, for example, we would just fetch both users, make the modification on the server side, because it's not the client updating the database directly. So we kind of have a layer between there where we just write Python.
Yep.
I guess your version of Python will just be the rules engine.
Yeah,
So
or I will see. I might also be able to do a certain amount of it client side. I'm not sure yet.
yeah, you got to be careful there because you can't like there are security holes possibly, right? If
Mm.
someone pretends they're your app, basically. Like if I write a Python client to pretend I'm your app and then I start hitting real-time database just as your app is,
Yeah.
then I can effectively do anything, right? If you put all the roles on the client side, you have to make sure there's at least validation between the client and the server.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably what the roles engine is for.
Yep. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that a lot more.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. For these, I guess you probably want like a floating point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
when I this was an interesting one. This is kind of constantly evolving the rides model because
Mhm.
in thinking about it from a user experience perspective, um, at the let's I guess take for example the passenger's perspective. So the passenger enters a destination. Then they're looking for a ride. At that stage, they should pop up in a list of available passengers for a driver. Supposing a driver accepts that, now I have to have
Oh,
the driver's latitude and longitude has to be exposed to the passenger and vice versa, so they can find each other.
yeah.
And then I also need the destination to be included in there to sort of give
Well,
directions for the driver.
you might want a new table for that. Oh, sorry, if I'm really far away from my mic.
It's all good.
So you like maybe you could have that in the users table, like the location, and then you just expose that specific field, but I don't know how weird that's gonna be. It might make sense to make like a what do you call the table? Like searches or something like that, where it's just the passengers that are searching for something, and then drivers can always see that. And then maybe there's another yeah, that does get a bit weird actually.
What I had in my head, and absolutely shoot it to pieces if it doesn't make any sense, I thought like to display the list of passengers available for drivers, I would look through the user database, I'll just call it, for any user that is searching.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then if the driver selects that, this is the part I'm trying to figure out. Okay, let me just back up a bit. What I was thinking is when the user enters a location
Yeah.
and then they're in the state where they're looking for a ride, so searching, that's when I might create a ride object, which would have the uh, driver's UID as null. But then, oh, so
I just thought you gave me a couple of interesting ideas there.
yes, I'm giving myself some idea. Maybe I could actually just look for rides which don't have a driver UID.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah. I was just thinking also, do you ever Oh, when someone is searching for this is really making me think. When someone's going to search for a ride, but they haven't put in their location yet, their destination location yet, you don't have a ride yet, right? That's when you put in the destination. Is that correct?
So the what I had in mind is the ride would start when the user enters a destination, and that will probably be like a Google Places autocomplete type box.
Okay, one thing then, you'll probably need the passenger's lat and long before that to know where they're going from.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so interesting thought. Here you have the driver UID and the passenger UID, but you also have the lat long for each. Why not put the lat long in the users table and look it up from those IDs? And then you can always have a user's lat long, or it can be null if they haven't given permission to the app or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. And then the rides table is a bit simpler. You just have a passenger and a user or driver. And then destination does make sense. And then maybe driver is optional. So like if they haven't actually got a driver yet.
Yeah. That one. That's my current thinking. And a driver would only be able to sort of connect here if that value is still null when they attempt to do that. That way we're not like overriding a ride which has already sort of started.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense with the status. So wait, searching is searching for a driver? Is that correct?
Yeah, but feel free to rename it if it's
No, that's good. That's good. I mean, I might call it searching for a driver.
sure. Yeah, I am all for verbosity and clarity. Let me just take a moment. We've got some people commenting. So Cybershark says, "Won't user to ride table join be really slow then?" I don't know. Like, I have no idea. We're thinking in Firebase here, and I don't actually have a ton of experience. So,
in SQL, it would be pretty cheap. You'd probably do it as two separate queries without a join, just because like you're only selecting one row, so it won't be too bad. And it's by ID, right? So you'd have that indexed. My brain is so SQL though.
it's all good.
If you can do some sort of indexing, it could be cheap.
Okay.
Things will get expensive if you need to like aggregate data across a bunch of tables and you're not using like indexed columns. But that's an SQL statement, so I'm not sure if I'm.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm lying in Firebase.
I couldn't tell either. Rober says, "What about priorities? Someone should be first before the next one. Timestamp, like the passenger that started the ride, should have more priority than the next passenger." That's a very good point. Now, with that being said, so the position of the passenger, so their distance from the driver, will be displayed to the driver. So I want the driver, it's not necessarily just going to be like a first come, first serve for passengers. The driver will be allowed to see, okay, so this passenger is only 1 kilometer away. I'd rather give them a ride than a passenger is like 20 kilometers away. Although I will try to include some kind of distance restrictions. That way rides from Ontario aren't showing up to a driver in Vancouver. But I don't actually care too much about the precedence of the passengers. That is a good thing to think about, though. Definitely, if it was a bigger scale, I would want to do that.
He just made me realize a couple of things. Do you want to have more than one passenger in one ride ever?
For simplicity's sake, no.
Okay. And then second, we probably want to store when these resources are created and updated at.
Okay.
So generally, this is more like kind of something like created at date time. This is date time with time zone, which is very important. I've learned this painfully many times. And then probably the last time it was updated at. So like this just gives you some like auditing of like when every resource was created and updated. You probably want that for the rides too. And then the vehicles. And the other thing I thought of is for rides, are users able to see a history of their rides that they've taken? And maybe drivers too?
So I wanted to do that. I just don't think I'll have time.
Okay. So maybe I shouldn't think about it. Yeah, because there's more you could do there. Oh, what's your deadline, by the way? Maybe that's useful to know.
So my rough timeline is basically I have today and probably tomorrow to pretty much get the back end sorted out.
Okay.
I have like a week to make the Android client. So a week including weekends. And then like a week to make the iOS client, hopefully. And then right after that, so mid-February, I have to basically start making a tutorial out of this, which is what I'm actually being paid to do. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Is it like a development tutorial or a tutorial of how to use the app?
So it's a development tutorial. It's sponsored by Stream Chat.
Okay.
So,
I see. Oh, right. Okay, it's showing how to integrate their products and stuff
yeah.
into an app. Okay, I get
Yeah,
you.
and they actually requested it be like an Uber clone, so the actual requirements are from them.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
And I thought it was
Okay.
really cool. I've never done anything like this as a demo project, so I thought it was a cool topic.
Okay. So I guess we can throw away some of my concerns then, which is nice. I keep getting far away from my mic. It's such a habit.
It's all good.
Um,
I did want to do like ride history though, and I don't think it would be that tough. But it's just the scope creep.
yeah, it is definitely scope creep because then there's a question of like reviews maybe. And then there's
Yeah. Yep. That too. Yep.
okay. Yeah, let's avoid that for now. So actually, no, okay, that's fine. So one passenger per ride, no ride history.
Yep.
How much do we really need to do more then, I wonder? So maybe we should walk through the whole timeline. I'm actually not sure if I understand all these statuses on the rides. So you have
Sure.
searching for driver. I guess, is this in order? I guess not, because I'm
No,
not
not
sure
necessarily.
exactly. Okay, so it would probably be
Not
searching for
deliberately.
someone. Ah, I see. Okay, so you user. Let's go from the direct start. So
Sure.
should we start with the driver side and then go to the passenger side?
Sure.
So you're a driver. Let's say you create an account that creates this account. You
Yep.
add a vehicle. That
Yep.
means, um, yeah, I guess you don't have to be in the driver's state to add a vehicle, right? Not necessarily. I guess.
So I have a particular screen called driver registry,
Oh yeah, I should look at that.
and so the idea is so everyone starts as a passenger. They can register to become a driver. I'm not sure if you can see it. And so once they fill this form out, which would require a image and a description at this stage, although
Mhm.
might change that. But yeah, once they fill that in and it successfully submits, then they're able to become a driver if they want to, and they can just sort of toggle that.
Mhm.
So if they are in driver mode and then they go to the dashboard, which would be hitting the back button,
Mhm.
then they would come down here and they get to see the driver dashboard.
Driver requests. Okay.
That should probably say passenger request, come to think of it.
Oh yeah. Sure.
And yeah, there's different states. Like if there's no passengers, then well.
Wonder if you even need a retry button if the real-time database
Oh,
is saying.
I was going to ask you about this. This was a backend thing I was wondering about. Um, what was I going to ask? So I was thinking we do one of these two. So if we request the list of passengers, however we do that, and there's none, I could show just like a no passengers available and they can retry. Or I could like keep polling or keep listening. So this thing would basically show up forever. So I was going to do either this one or this one. And that was something I was going to ask you about what kind of makes more sense to you.
I'd probably do something in between because if you show this loading screen, it kind of looks like it's like the app is broken in my opinion. Like it's like infinitely loading. Um, Probably say no passengers available and put it on screen somewhere that it's auto refreshing. Like make it clear to the user that it is refreshing automatically, if possible.
Okay.
I don't think you need a retry button because with real-time DB. I don't know what it's using under the hood, but I'm guessing it's something like WebSockets to keep it like persistently getting data from the database automatically.
I would
Um,
imagine so.
is
I'm
there
not
like an
sure.
SDK you're using to integrate with it? And it does
Yeah.
it all under the hood? Okay, yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably WebSockets or something. Keep the loading, but let the driver know it's searching, but no one is available. Yeah, so like make it show the current state, which is there's no passengers, but also make it clear that it's looking still, so that there
Okay.
is no retrieval. Maybe at the bottom you could have like searching for more or something, but still show no passengers.
Okay.
Firebase SDK does it automatically. Yeah, okay. It's probably using WebSockets under the hood or HTTP 2 or something. Cool though.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I
So,
don't think you need a retry button since it's doing it for you.
okay.
Um, I'm just looking
Okay, I
through
can
the
rethink that then.
messages. Do you rely fully on Stream Chat for that?
So, yeah,
So
I'm actually, I asked, I'm currently talking to them about that because I need to figure out do they so in a ride sharing app, my understanding of it is you'd only ever have like one-to-one messages, and
yep.
I don't think there's any requirement to store that history, but I just need to make sure that's cool with them because we'll see. But for the most part, let's kind of just ignore anything to do with chat until I get some clear answers on that.
Okay, you do need slightly short-term storage though, because like if someone closed the app and reopens it, you probably still want to see it if they're still on the ride. It's just when the
Yeah,
ride enters, they can either lose access to see it, doesn't really matter if you keep it, or you can just delete it.
yeah. Like so, I know their SDK integrates with Firebase, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it handles like all the caching um, for
Okay.
me.
Okay.
But
Cool.
those are
Um,
important questions.
are you forced into this view when you're in a ride, like both the driver and the passenger? Or oh, this is driver view. I see.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
So after the driver selects a passenger who has like an open request, then the driver would see this screen. Yeah.
yeah. Does the passenger have any sort of similar screen?
Yeah. If we head over to the left, they have an equivalent screen. That would be this one down here.
Ride. Sound.
Pretty similar.
Okay, this looks good though. You have arrived. Nice. Okay. This makes sense. Maybe, I mean, since you already have this like kind of wireframed out the whole driver thing, we could remove the make and model for now because I'm just kind of adding more work to your plate to integrate with that third-party API, I guess. So maybe it's better if I don't.
Well, it's all good. Like leave it there.
Okay.
I think it's still interesting for the people watching. Like we don't have a ton of live viewers, but people will likely watch this later on, and it's just useful information from a system design perspective. So,
Everybody watching live is just cool. That's all I'm gonna
yep,
say.
the cool kids.
They're answering all the cool questions for Firebase, so they're just cool.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I think I have an idea of how the app works at a high level. So, oh, where were we? So we had the user signs up. They add a vehicle. So they go to that screen. They register to become a driver. They add their
Yep.
vehicle information. They submit it.
They
Then they
toggle driver mode.
okay. Let me go back and figure out. So that puts them in driver type. That's the only thing that edits, right? I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and
It's,
it would also update the data
yeah.
for their user model. But yeah.
And then you have to make sure they have oh, should these be optional so we don't crash the app?
Yes. Yeah. Because we don't want to constantly have that the latitude and longitude should only be really dealt with during a ride or just
Okay.
before.
One thing though is whenever someone is going to either a passenger is going to search for a ride or a driver is going to accept a ride, I think. I think that's the state. Yeah, when they accept a ride, or even when they go into the menu to see the rides they can accept, you probably want to assert that these are set
Yeah.
in
Yep.
lat and long because you're gonna have issues otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, but that would just be in the Rails engine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so then
Kind of what I had in my head is the time when a ride resource would be created would be after the passenger creates or sorry selects a destination and then they're sent to their version of the loading screen. In my head, that's when the ride resource would be created, and then their lat and long would be either part of that resource or you could get to it through that resource.
yeah. So that's the thing. I moved to the users table, so it would just be in the users table, but you could get to it from the passenger ID. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
That looks good. So you'd have to assert that that's set. Probably be in this menu here when they enter a destination. You want to make sure that they actually have one. A lat
Yeah.
long.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty typical Android. You gotta make sure that you have the permissions and all kinds of
Yeah.
crap. So,
Okay, then this is when you create the ride, I guess, or when they click this
uh,
notification.
yeah, you could say once they're in this screen, the ride is created. Like I wouldn't go here unless I could successfully create a ride.
Cool. Yep, that's good. Okay, then that will have. So then the passenger will be in searching mode. Is that right?
That's current plan. Yeah.
Okay, and then the driver will just be in driver mode. Oh, what's the status by default actually? Inactive?
Oh, the default status is passenger.
Status, not type.
Do you mean? Oh, sorry. Brain fart. I haven't really thought these through super well. I thought the default would be inactive.
Mhm.
So inactive would mean they're neither participating in a ride nor are they searching for one. But that could easily
Yeah, okay.
change.
That's okay. Just for OCD, I'm gonna put this first, just so it's more clear to me. They're in order this way. Um,
Sure.
here. Okay, so the passengers in or driver's inactive, passenger is searching. Then a ride gets created, so it'll have
Oh,
driver ID.
I do need some kind of flag for. So I think searching would be when the driver is looking for like that list.
Where's that at? I think I know what you're talking about. I mean this.
Yeah, where they. Yeah, I think this would be driver searching state.
Okay, so there's passenger and driver searching states, I guess, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
looking for ride on the passenger side and looking for passengers. Okay.
Yeah.
You I wonder why you need that. Is it just to show this screen, I
Yeah.
guess?
Yeah.
Uh,
Like I'm gonna try to make the UI pretty reactive, so
right.
it's going to be consuming both probably the
Right.
user.
I see now, because you actually need to get this data, so there needs to be a flag on the server side to trust it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There's kind of a question open of how you send. Um, Actually, no, you can get this all from the users table. You're good. Passenger is, destination is. Yeah, you're good. Um, oh, you'll also have to get the, so you'll get the ride and the user here.
Yeah, I have to come to think of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, where else am I going to get the avatar and the name?
Yeah. Avatar name. Oh, and the passenger distance now. And then the
Oh, so
destination stored in the.
the this will be calculated client side. Like
Yeah.
obviously I'll need to get the passengers lat and long, but the presentation part of it will be client side.
Yeah. It's just the delta between the two,
Yeah.
or the absolute delta, I guess. And then destination is the delta between the. Oh, is that from the driver, I guess? So the driver to the destination.
Actually, so that I was thinking about that from UX. Um, I believe this would be where the distance from the passenger's location to the destination, but it's not actually very intuitive reading it. So
Yeah, that's
I might
true.
have to change that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe
Maybe
from passenger.
ride length or something like that.
Yeah. True. Yeah, that could work. Ride
Yeah,
length, ride distance. Okay, that's good though.
yeah, or
That's
trip
all
distance or
class.
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's probably
I should
nice.
put a note there. Just to,
Can you put comments in
can I
Figma?
put what?
Can you put comments in Figma? Sorry, I'm quiet.
Oh
I
no,
don't know if
it's,
comments are a thing. Oh yeah, there are. I keep forgetting I do it at work.
are you allowed to do that? I'm not sure if you have.
I don't think so. I think I have to log in.
Okay.
Boris.
Let me just see. Add editors. Can edit.
I can
Can
actually.
you send me your email? I'm not currently live, so it's not. Or sorry, I'm not showing the screen at the moment. So. Oh, here I can just edit here. Never mind. Okay, let's do can edit.
I'm alive.
Okay, you should be good to go.
All right, cool. Comments.
Okay, we're back showing the screen.
Great. I think that worked. Yeah, cool. You can
Cool.
comment
Okay.
now. Oh, you already removed the thing.
I'll have to redo this probably later today.
I'm just adding random comments.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, I think that's all the things I've had so far, all the thoughts. I'm switching
Awesome.
browsers really quick so I can actually log in. Hold on.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, there we go. So where were we? Oh, right, the searching state. So they're both entered into the searching state.
Yeah.
A ride has been created. The ride is in the searching for driver state. What else? Destination lat and long are set because it has to be set to create a
Um,
ride.
I don't think this needs an inactive state. I think an inactive
Uh,
ride doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I think you're right. Um, yeah, I think you're right. I agree with that one. En route, passenger pickup. Passenger pickup would be before, I
Yeah,
guess.
I can move it.
Arrived. Um,
So my thinking is arrived would kind of be like a terminal state, if that makes sense.
yeah. It kind of made me think of whether you actually need to ever delete the ride or whether you can just keep the ride there forever and then that way you kind of can do history in the future.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good point.
because if it's just sitting and arrived, then do you ever really need to delete it? I wonder. You can just create a new ride and then you can assert that no, like all the rides. So when you create a ride, all the rides that exist have to not be in the arrived or have to be in the arrived state. Because if they have a ride in one of these states, searching for driver, passenger pickup en route, then they can't really create another ride. Maybe there's a simpler way to do that. Like if the passenger's inactive, you can trust that they don't have any other rides in these states.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm saying too many words.
No, that's okay.
Um, okay, so I think that's good. So you're searching for driver. Mm, then the driver accepts the ride. How will we do that? So I guess that
So
would set. Sorry, go for it.
my thinking is that would go to passenger pickup for the ride state.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not. I didn't really think about what to do for the users. Maybe we should like duplicate that.
Mm,
Um, in fact, I think we might. I
I
don't
think
know.
it's
It
going to
depends
be
on if I'm like driving the UI primarily through the ride model at that point or the user model. Probably the ride model.
Yeah, there's a bit of duplication here. I would maybe put three states and users, like just do something like in ride that's kind of all of these states rather than duplicating them.
Okay.
Um, there might be a better way of doing that. Inactive searching. I think that's okay. See, like when you make it, you'll probably run into a few of these where it's like duplicated data.
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe we can talk a bit more then, but to me it's not inherently clear. I think it's fine like this basically.
Okay.
Um, because you'll have both, so I think you're good. Okay. So passenger pickup. So the driver accepts a passenger. That sets the passenger to in ride and the driver to in ride. That updates the driver. Oh, it updates the ride to passenger pickup. And
Mm-hmm.
then what changes on the UI? I think you just need to
Um, yeah. So they'd be shown the screen where they see each other's location, and then they can also message each other at that point.
So is this thing here? I don't know if you can see my cursor. Is this the
Yep.
destination or the passenger?
The passenger's location.
Okay, so the driver's going to the passenger,
Yep.
and then the passenger sees, or the
How
driver
they
sees.
should see how far the driver is from. I don't know
Okay.
why I have that so far away. I can. Oh, that's not what I wanted. No.
Okay, that makes sense though. Then
Let me
we
just
have.
reorganize this. Let's put chat over here, and then I'm just gonna drag this whole thing. Closer. And just for OCD's sake, I'm going to drag this down so it... does that make sense? Okay, so searching, searching. Now I'm being OCD. These probably should line up a little better though. Okay, so searching, searching. This is still a searching state technically, looking for a ride. And then they're in like an equivalent state at this point. Okay, so en route, heading to destination, heading to destination. I forget what this one's all about. Oh, arrived at destination. Oh, right. So this is an extra, this one here. I should have mentioned this like probably at the start. I believe most of the states for the ride, with the exception of it being created, those are all going to actually be driven by the driver. That sounded redundant, but the driver will say, "Hey, I picked up the passenger," and then they'll also say, "Hey, I've arrived." Just for people listening, that's not how I would do this in a production application. Like, I would want a lot of checks. I would want to like just geolocate and make sure that they are actually in the position they're in. But for simplicity's sake, it's the honor system.
There's a bit of trickiness there, I think, in a production situation, even though, like, I remember I was in the Netherlands over the summer, and there was an app where there were bikes around the city with GPS trackers, and you could kind of go up and rent the bike.
Yeah.
But sometimes there were issues where there were zones that you could park a bike and zones that you could not park a bike. And I had a couple of times, and I should mention, if you had not rented the bike, there was a brake on the bike that stopped you from moving it.
Oh, yes.
So I had a situation where there was a bike parked right on the edge of this area, and the bikes are pretty heavy. Like they were e-bikes and they were pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
And it was showing that it was not in the accepted location, even though it was parked. So someone had parked it, and I guess the GPS had shown that it was in the correct location. But when I went to get it, it was not. So I basically had to pick up the bike and walk it like, 30 meters or 40 meters outside of the forbidden area so that I could rent the bike. So there is some trickiness around, like there can be desyncs with GPS.
Yeah.
So that's like something to consider. I wonder how Uber does it. Like they might actually have an override where even if it doesn't show that the passenger and the driver are in the same location, or maybe they just have a very wide radius of like a couple of 100 meters or something. Because I'm sure there are there's times where like they're desynced, and what you explained, like in a naive implementation where maybe you kind of assert that they're very close to each other, actually comes up with issues. So
Yeah.
I think this is actually not too bad, believe it or not. Like you have it driver driven. I think it's probably kind of similar to what Uber's doing under the hood. They might have some assertions for geolocation, but it's probably not very strong.
If I had to guess, yeah, it's probably like, I know from user experience that as the passenger, apart from canceling, I can't really dictate the flow. I've never been an Uber driver, but I'm guessing it's some combination of like they drive it, and then also there must be some element of, well, actually, you know what? I just realized with Uber, they do have ratings and stuff like that. So if you jumped in the car and then the driver just says, "Okay, we've arrived, get out of my goddamn car," then they wouldn't be an Uber driver for very long. So
They have really high standards too. I know like a 4.8 star or whatever is like kind of bad, 4.7 or whatever. Like most really good drivers will have like 4.9 or higher with like thousands of rides. So people are picky with that kind of stuff. And I think they have like a prioritization engine where you don't even get recommended passengers. Like, oh, actually, that's a difference. I don't think they give you a list of passengers you can pick up and you pick one. I think they give you passengers specifically. Like they're like, would you like to pick up this passenger? And then you have like, yes or no. And then they give you those. And I think that's based on the rating system. So
that
it's
makes
like,
sense.
they'll give the drivers with the best ratings that are available, the drives or the rides.
Okay. I wonder.
So that's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's neat stuff. I like on one level I have to really I have to be careful of the scope, but I actually really enjoy like thinking about those sorts of things. It's interesting technical problems to deal with, but especially with a rating system, I guess the honor system is actually pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's probably something in between it on Uber, I guess. So if you're like a low rated driver, you probably just don't get recommended any rides like ever unless they really need you to.
Yeah. I was just trying to see on my phone if I can look up my own rating, but I'm not sure I can. Anyways, I'll do that later.
That actually that maybe be a good exercise if you like try being an Uber driver for a day to like get some ideas of how it works.
Yeah, I just need a license.
Oh yeah. Actually, I mean you could just watch some YouTube video of some guy doing it probably. That'd be good enough.
Yeah.
Um
All right.
Back to Unter.
We have so there's a comment from Bargav. So currently the driver's ride is running. Driver's current running's ride destination location is 500 meters from a passenger's current location. Okay. But when passenger made a request, the driver's location was 1 kilometer away from destination, and also no other driver is available. So I think the scenario this request should be made by the driver. I unfortunately, Bargav, I don't totally follow what you're saying. Are you saying you agree with the current setup, or
Passenger made the request, driver. No other driver is available in the area. Yeah. Even are you saying like even if uh running ride destination is locations 500 meters from passenger's current location. Yeah, there's kind of like some questions around what your max radius will be for picking up passengers. I think 1 kilometer would probably be kind of low.
yeah, I would want to do. I actually dealt with this at Stay because we use Google Maps a lot. I would want to do the what was it? I want to say it was somewhere around 40K. Like I know that sounds like a lot, but
Oh, you mean that's the circumference of the Earth or whatever, I think. The If I remember correctly, I remember Roman talking. I think it's 40,095.
oh no, I was talking about like the 40 kilometers, like around the
Oh,
like I basically want to set it to roughly the size of like the average city.
okay. Right, right.
Is like the radius. I hopefully that's what Bargav was talking about. Like the radius with which a driver can see active passengers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like. Yeah, 1K is way too small. But even 40 might be too big. So I'll have to play around with that. But that is an important question. Like,
On Google, I had an idea.
go ahead. Yep.
On the Google Maps API, can you get a measurement? Can you just do like how long will it take me to get from destination A to destination B?
So that's a great question. I think the answer is yes, and I'm hoping to be able to lean on Google's APIs quite a lot
Yeah.
for this app. Like for example, I'm hoping I can set like a I don't know what they would call it in their terms, but like a destination, and that would actually function as like a GPS in the app, or not GPS, but like a I guess you would say GPS helper thingy. Like if you've used Google Maps and you say, take me to this destination and it shows you where to go,
Mhm.
I'm hoping to be able to use that in the app, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. The reason I was asking is there's more than just distance, right? To like how long a drive is. It's all about like traffic too. So if
Yep.
you could leverage that, you could do like traffic based measurements as well. So like, a kilometer in downtown Toronto is a lot worse than a kilometer in like Caledon or whatever.
Yeah.
Wait, you in Caledon, sorry, you live in the other side of the country.
That's all good.
Probably like but I think you get the point. Like
I take the point that Toronto sucks for traffic. So,
it's brutal.
yeah.
Manual requested Chester's return to Jason. Yeah, I mean, if you could do that request for each passenger you get back and maybe the location. Oh, you have lat long. So I mean, I assume that Google will accept that.
Interesting point. Yeah, I might have to switch over to like using places IDs. To be honest, I wish I had more time to research that. I don't know how much. That'll be interesting problem solving. Luckily, I did a lot of this stuff with Stay, so it.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah,
I think Uber probably uses lat long, and they probably look up the place ID or something like that from the lat long. I'm pretty sure you can do that.
yeah.
Because
There's
when you
like there's a
like,
geocoder you can use to sort of do like a reverse lookup.
yeah.
Now I don't remember. I know the geocoder can tell you like what city or whatever. I can't
Mhm.
remember if it's what exactly the granularity of it is, but there's a pretty high chance I'll end up using that.
Yeah,
So,
because there's benefit to storing the exact lat long. Like I know on Uber, for example, when a driver's coming to pick you up, they can literally see you like walking around. They can see like the actual dot moving.
hmm
And then you can see like where at the building they are. For example, like if they're on the left side of the building or something like that. Those kind of things can help when you're trying to pick someone up, I think, quite a lot.
yeah,
Uh,
it'll be interesting. So like we're storing the for the destination, I'll be storing the lat and the lawn, not the name of the destination. Whereas in the UI, it shows like the des. Actually,
oh,
yeah,
really?
it does show. So I have to be able to either I have to change the UI or I have to be able to sort of like reverse lookup or geocode the Latin long, and I that's something I'll have to look into.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah,
going to be fun to build in a
excited.
friggin' week.
Yeah, that's gonna be an adventure.
6 days actually, because I'll be at Android Worldwide all day on Tuesday. So
Oh yeah, yeah, you can do it. I think I found the API call. It's just, well, I don't know what the SDK will look like, but this, that looks like more than you need. I think you can just give location, which is lat long, and then the others are optional, I think, except for API key. And then that will give you back this data, which has the place ID and everything. And then with that, I guess you can look up anything. But I think that's fine to do client side. Like, I think it's okay if you just have lat long on the server side.
okay,
I guess there's no server, but okay. Anyway, maybe we
is
can get
it
back
baby's
to
first server?
Oh, I managed to close
I'm a real
Explore.
backend developer now. I use Firebase.
Oh,
All
you
right,
should put it here. Yeah, okay.
oh,
So
just for
maybe
so
that's
that people can
okay.
see.
All right, okay.
Power to the people.
Yeah. So I think maybe I should actually confirm that that radius is optional. Yeah. Cool. Huh?
Cool.
Oh, dude.
Okay.
Indeed. Okay. So thinking about this again. So where were we? We were at driver just accepted a passenger, I think, or as was about to.
I think driver
Uh,
accepted passenger, but I can't remember.
Okay, cool. So that, I mean that just to reiterate, that stage would just be you go from searching for driver to passenger pickup. The driver ID gets set, and the
Yeah.
passenger and the driver both get set to in ride
Okay.
on the users table. And then, oh, and I guess updated it gets set, but I just assume that that's always going to happen. Whenever, by the way, whenever you update anything in a resource, you update the updated it. That's kind of the goal of that.
Okay. I should.
Um,
I'm gonna make a note of that.
yeah, okay. Can you comment on this? Maybe. 10,000 requests Google Maps API. Yeah, I'm not actually sure. 10,000 is probably fine for your demo app though, I guess. Just don't spam them.
Yeah. Let's put this in the. No. Ew.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's do
Ooh,
that.
that makes sense. Okay, cool. So then the let me go back to the Figma. So you've picked up the passenger, or you've said you're going to pick up the passenger. Then the driver drives to the passenger. The passenger gets in the car. Then the driver signals that they've picked up the passenger, which goes to en route. Is that the only change? En route is
Sorry.
good.
I was reading the comments for a second. Could you repeat that?
So the driver, they're in the state of picking up the passenger. The
Okay.
driver then drives to the passenger and
Yeah.
signals in the app that they've picked them up.
Yep. Yeah, they
Um,
hold the icon down.
yep. You could do some assertion of like, geolocation or whatever, but don't worry. Um,
Ideally I would, but I probably won't.
okay. Um, then they get set to on route. So then it's just the distance. The app updates to show the distance to the
Yeah.
destination. Um, then they use, okay, yeah, then the rest is pretty simple.
Oh,
They just go to arrived, and then I think
this
you're
should
pretty
be
good.
like down below. I think I mixed this up a little bit.
So I think
Okay.
database model, we're probably good. We cover all the use cases that you have in the Figma, I believe.
Um,
Yeah, it looks like
pick
it.
up passenger. Okay, yeah, I think this is correct. So this is arrived. Um, and so when they're in the same car, I've disabled the messages because hopefully they can just talk to each other. That'd be pretty weird if they were
Um, yeah,
communicating via messages inside the car.
yep. If it's less effort, you could keep it on, but I guess you'd need a button, so it's probably more effort. So yeah, that's good.
Actually, I might. It actually would be more effort to hide it at that point. So we'll see. I might just do that.
I'm pretty sure on Uber they don't block it or anything.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I
yeah,
think I'll
some more.
probably let's make a comment.
Cool. Having some more
Maybe.
things come to head of like if you were designing this ideally, maybe it's useful for the chat to think of. Um, but like maybe you'd want to add some like request to support, like report an incident happening or something like that.
Yeah.
That might be useful to have. That would probably look like you'd have like another table of like reports, and then there would probably be some sort of admin panel you'd have that could fetch those reports from the database and kind of go through them and then maybe open a chat with the user. But I'm guessing that's like way out of scope for this
Yeah,
project.
but definitely, ideally, yeah, would be something like that.
That table would probably look like, you'd have like a report. So it would be like report ID. You'd have the parties involved, so the driver and the passenger. Uh, I guess there's a tricky case around there. Oh, you'd also want the ride. Maybe you just want the ride. You could have passenger, I guess, so you don't have to do two lookups. Um, and then you'd probably have some sort of description that the passenger gives, or the driver, I guess. They can also report an incident.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that's interesting. So you wouldn't have driver and passenger. You'd probably have reporter and reported ID because the ride already has the driver and the passenger, so you don't really need to duplicate that. But you need to, in the report, you need to show who made the report, who filed it.
Okay.
Um, sorry, anyway, I'm getting way off topic, but that
No,
might be
that's all
interesting.
good. It's interesting system design. Looks like Rober and Cybershark are checking out the rate limits. Yeah. That's okay.
Tunic
I'll spend a few buck if I have to.
Yeah, seems like only a one-time thing. Yeah, I mean, 1,000 requests is probably enough. Um,
I would imagine
make sure,
so. Like,
yeah, just make sure the UI can't call it in a loop or anything.
yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
We had one thing happen at Stay where you load like one of the pages and it would absolutely like spam some API. That was
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
yeah,
there were some interesting things that happened, and I'll leave it at that.
that was like a full DOS. It was doing like 10,000 requests in like 5 seconds. That was like impressive.
DDoSing your
Maxing
own
out,
server.
it's maxing out my i7.
Oh man.
Anyway. Oh yeah, I forget what endpoint it was calling. It was like the user lookup or something. They had handled it though. Gotta give it that.
I think I know there was something I found. I don't want to go into specifics for various reasons, but I know there was some API that was pretty much like the worst. I shouldn't say the worst, but one of the worst APIs to be like calling every couple milliseconds that was being called in this one
It might have
feature.
been, yeah, maybe I won't go in depth, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we shouldn't, but I might type it in.
Was it a patch request? Alright, send it. Internals. Sorry for the confusion. Driver's ride is running at the same time passenger made a request. Driver's ride location is 500 meter.
But yeah, that one I sent in Discord, that one was getting on the yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'm very aware of that. Oh yeah, every time you click the next button or whatever.
No, it was worse than that. It was being called in a loop.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm sure they fixed it, but
I wish I never made that endpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, so
anyways, sorry, we should get back on track. Sorry, folks.
We got a comment. Driver's ride is running at the same time passenger made a request. By that do you mean so the driver has a ride and the passenger is making a request to get a ride, like searching for a driver? Because then you can't actually get into that state. That's why I'm asking. So the passenger has to make the request to ride before the driver is even in the ride. The driver has to like accept the passenger, and then they're both in the ride.
Yes, yeah. So once the passenger selects a destination, there a ride resource is created, although the driver will be null in that resource. But the drivers will be able to see the rides that are available, and by extension, the passengers. And then once a driver accepts a ride, assuming that the driver UID of that ride is still null, then they merge together, and then the ride now has the driver's UID. And then we would update the state from searching for driver into passenger pickup. And then I guess also Go ahead.
I was just reading the comment out loud for some reason.
Oh, it's all good. And then and then they would both go to in-ride, the two users. That's something I really didn't think about, is that there's going to be a lot of state that gets updated at these different stages.
I think I know what he's talking about now. So it's like driver's ride destination location is 500 meters from the current location. Yeah, so are you saying the total distance is what we should use from the driver to the passenger to the destination is maybe maybe that's my thought on top of what he was saying. But I think that actually might be true. Like if you have to drive a bit out of the boundary, but then the destination is like right beside the passenger, maybe that's fine. But if you did the sum of the whole, well, actually, I mean, I guess you're not integrating like payments or anything, right? But
no,
part of me thinks that like if the driver is down to drive from Toronto to Ottawa, if it's paid by time.
Like my thinking is, I want the driver to know, okay, how far away is the passenger? And then once I pick up the passenger, how far away is the destination?
Yeah.
So I think I get where Bargav is coming from. Like, if I actually initially was hoping to estimate prices, but I just scope creep too much. But I think for me, I'd rather the driver knows how far the passenger is and the destination.
And then would the max be the sum of the two distances or just the passenger distance?
Presumably the sum of the two, but I don't see why I would need to set a maximum.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess assuming a bad actor who, like, as a joke says, drive me from Calgary to Saskatchewan, I should say, like, Saskatoon or whatever. The thing is, though, I still want it broken up, because then the driver knows, like, I don't know, I could be convinced, but I still like it to show the distance as it is, and then the driver can, do some simple math to figure out what the total distance is.
Yeah, you probably do want some sort of cap. I actually think it should be the distance from the driver to the passenger. Because say say you're in Calgary and someone wants to drive from like the middle of Saskatoon to Toronto. You probably don't want to be recommended that drive because that's you have to drive like hours to even get there in the first place. It's like way out of range, right?
Yeah.
But if someone wants to drive, if you're in Calgary as the driver and someone wants to go from Calgary to Saskatoon, that's a long drive, but it's still a drive
Oh.
in your range,
Oh, I
right?
get what you're saying.
So I think that makes sense. That second case. It's more like the driver can decide whether they want to do that long drive, but that's still something I would probably show on the menu.
Okay, now I get what you're saying. So what we're talking about is we set a as planned, like there's a cap on the distance between the driver and the passenger initially,
Mhm.
but there is either no cap or a larger cap on the destination.
Maybe the driver could even set the cap in for the destination. Like in a scalable, like in a real app, I'm saying.
Yeah,
Not that you have to do it. But maybe the driver could be like, I'm okay with doing 30-minute drives.
yeah,
Um,
that makes sense. I did, so I think I get what people. I think I get more what Margaret was saying. But yeah, I will definitely cap. Unfortunately, I'll probably do this client side just for the reason that it's simpler for me to do it that way. But probably what I'll do for the scale of this application is we'll get pretty much all of the passengers or all of the ride requests, whatever. And then client side, I'll filter out any that are X distance away from the driver.
yeah, do be aware in like a production app, you'd probably want to do quite a bit of the filtering server side though, because if you
Yeah,
imagine on Uber, if every client was sent every ride that exists in the whole world, that would
I
be kind of
totally. Yeah, I'm. This is not what I would recommend
yeah.
production. The main reason is A, I am not super comfortable with Firebase, and B, I am not a backend developer yet. So,
Yep,
yeah.
yep, no problem.
But yeah, totally agreed. Like, if at all possible, server side filtering for the win.
Yeah, you'd at least want some. I mean, so like in production, my stack for this would probably be I'd probably be using Elasticsearch for something like this. For the I don't know, I haven't built something like this, but I know they have like latitude, longitude based uh geosphere searching or whatever it's called, where you can actually get like geolocation based um searches filtered by the distance based on like the what's the word? Like the circular nature of the world, the
Mm-hmm.
spherical nature. So it does all that for you automatically. Maybe there's something like that on in Firebase actually.
Yeah, I have no
I don't
idea, to
want
be
to
honest.
if you could filter it by that. Anyway,
I
you'll
I
get
didn't
one.
even know. Like, I think they have some kind of way that you could do filtering, but I think it's more like an advanced feature.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
for this, let's assume pretty much all the filtering is client side. The
Yeah.
one saving grace is as much of that stuff as possible. I'm gonna try to do that in the common KMM code base. So basically, at the very least, hopefully, I can write all that stuff once and have it shared across the iOS client and Android client.
Do you plan to do any of this backend development on stream today, or was this more of
No,
like a planning session, do you think? Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
because I
planning session.
do think you're getting to the point where we're building unknowns on top of unknowns on top of unknowns. And I have hesitations because I don't personally really know Firebase, and I'm not sure you're too familiar with it either. So I think we should probably try to play around with building like some of what we've kind of scoped out
Sure.
here. Maybe visit it again. Um,
Do you want to
because
do that? Like we could. Oh, I did. There was one other thing I wanted to ask you. We could try and mess around with Firebase right now if you wanted to, but it's up
sure.
to you.
No, I have time. That sounds good.
Okay.
Um, I think it's probably good because we definitely have some things that we're not sure of. So we're probably gonna hit some roadblock, some misunderstanding, and I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
better to hit that now before we go like into building the whole app in theory.
Yeah. One thing for sure, I unfortunately you might have to have like the stream open or something like that to see the Firebase dashboard. But one thing I for sure wanted to ask you about, we talked a little bit about this, but for sign-in providers, so ideally I would love to do Google and Facebook and blah blah blah. I just don't have time to configure that on iOS and Android because it's kind of a pain in the ass on Android, and it's probably a pain in the ass for Swift.
Sure.
We have three native providers, so email/password, phone. There's also anonymous. I don't think I'll do anonymous. That doesn't make sense.
So
But yeah, like email, password, or phone.
I'd probably go with phone if you could.
Phone.
Just
Okay.
yeah. So like OTP is a simpler flow for end users. First of all, it's just you get a one-time password, and then you click the box and type in your one-time password. You also have the benefit that you're verifying they actually own the phone that they're using. Whereas with
Okay.
email, it's a lot more like the question of what is a legitimate email is kind of complicated. Like you would have to send them like email confirmation if you really want to know. They'd have to do that like an OTP flow, but you'd have to write that yourself, I'm assuming. With the phone, I'm assuming they just do an OTP flow for you.
Yeah, I'm quite sure it's all kind of handled.
Mobile phone using this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is probably the simplest and I would say best option.
Okay. I think as a learning goal, it's interesting for me too. So
Mhm.
let's for now go with phone authentication requires additional configuration steps. Yeah, whatever. I'll figure that out later. Okay, so we'll go with phone. There, that's done. So I'll have to update the UI. Um, I'll make a note for that because currently we are collecting the email, but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
can.
if it's more familiar and if you, okay. Do you think, how good is your internet? Like, do you think you're able to screen share on Discord and stream? Because then I
I'll
could
give
get
it a
my
shot.
guys to, like, okay.
Sorry, just a sec. Okay. Uh, okay, hopefully that'll work.
Yep, I see. Looks very crispy.
All right. So yeah, oops, that's the one. Let me just add it. Okay, so probably change to phone. And I'm not even sure. Hopefully I'll be able to use this UI, but they might even have a UI component that I'll end up using.
Right. Right. I think it's worth trying to look into that, or would you rather look into the database stuff?
Yeah, I guess we can have a quick look. I'm just gonna hide so people can't see my porn search history. I'm just kidding. I use incognito mode. Um, okay, Firebase auth. Okay. We'll use Android as an example. So they do have the sign in with a pre-built UI, although I'm not sure I want to actually use that. I don't think I do. Where is phone number? Okay.
Yeah, it's OTP, one-time code, or one-time password. That's what OTP is, by the way. There's also TOTP, which is the full name, time-based one-time password.
Okay.
But that looks to be what you want.
Yep. Enabled. What's app verification? Oh, whatever. That's fine. Okay.
Yep, that's the code.
Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, I'll just have a UI field for the phone number, which I'll collect.
I think the phone can autofill the phone for you, phone number.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. You open the app and you're just authenticated automatically, or you have to just put the code in.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Hopefully I can do that. I know you can. I just hope I have time to implement it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, this looks pretty straightforward. This is the stuff that gets annoying. You have to do these asynchronous callbacks, and it has to be like managed within the life cycle of the mobile application, and this code can get pretty annoying. But
Yep.
Okay, cool.
On code sent. So I guess on code sent, you would just show the UI to write in the code. Not sure if that's how that works. Looks rather reasonable though.
Okay. Yeah, I can work with this.
Cool. Sign in the user. So then I guess
Yeah, and then
pretty
it
much
creates like a session. So the actual session is like totally managed through the SDK.
right. So can you store information on that session?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, how do you mean? Like, what kind of information?
I was just kind of trying to think of like the session stuff. You know, when you can have session information and account information.
Um,
Um,
I'm not sure exactly what you have access to. I think they
yeah,
hide a lot of it for security reasons.
yeah, sure.
But yeah, you
Um,
can get like a user object. I'm not sure if they.
yeah, I kind of wonder what that is.
Okay,
Um,
users in Firebase. Okay.
ah, user properties. Fixed set, primary email address, name, photo URL, stored in the project user database.
So I'm just gonna take a quick washroom break here.
Okay.
But yep, I will be right back.
User?
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, I'm uh I'm watching the introducing Firebase real-time database at 1.7 times speed.
Oh yeah. The the Doge is staring into my soul. I love that background. I used to have it as my when I was doing meetings at work. That was my background too. User
Okay.
properties.
Yeah, okay. So the rules do work how I thought they did. It's you can specify which users have access to which pieces of data. And what's the other thing they said? Oh, how okay, never mind. How your database should be structured. Yeah, fine.
Cybertruck asks, "Did I wash my hands?" No comment.
Priorities, you know.
Yep. The show must go on. I actually took a full shower. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm happy with phone, and also as a learning goal, that seems fun. I've used the email password before.
Okay, it looks like we are actually correct with how the database works. So the rules, you can write a bit of code, it looks like. And
Oh, good.
so
Okay.
I don't know what language it'll be. Maybe we
Hmm.
should try writing one.
Sure.
You're right. Yeah, like even if we could just do one for like authentication of this user is logged in, now they can access their user object. That would be the simplest.
Okay.
You gotta figure out how to do that.
All right. Let
It's gonna
me
be interesting.
sorry, I'm just juggling windows here. Give me a moment. Where did my YouTube window go?
Set data and listen for changes. Offline persistence. Secure your data.
Okay. So we've got users, we've got rides, we'll add vehicles. Let's just start adding things. Whoa, what happened? Oh, cool. Okay, so you can kind of go here. Let's start with users.
I see. So I can send an example of what it might look like. Oh, wait, you already, okay, cool. Yeah, so this is like an example they have in their docs.
Okay,
So
this is their rules.
yeah.
Okay.
So like
Oh, okay, so you can rate stuff. Okay.
yeah, so like a user could write to their user ID if their user ID is equivalent to the auth user ID. The auth user ID.
That makes sense.
Um yeah, I think I understand. Cool. So that would be like the basic one. You'd probably want read as well. Oh, well, okay. So read gets more complicated though, because if someone's in a ride with you, then they can see your user data, or at least some of it.
Yeah. Which
Um,
is fair. Like, obviously, we don't want to show everything, but that's kind of fair. Like, they should be able to see each other's names and their
mhm,
locations.
yep. Um, Google Apps Script. Thank you, Cheddar.
Graph Sensei, nickname for Cybershark.
Oh, Sensei.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that looks more advanced. If we could use that, that would be even cooler because that looks more like an actual programming language. Um, I'll send you the tab I'm looking at.
Okay.
Get started. Structure security roles. Write conditions for security roles. Yeah, you're gonna be having fun with these, I think. So
Oh,
shortly.
God. Yeah.
Message 0.
Oh, so you can't even write validation logic. That's fun.
Yeah. So I guess that's when you send new data, it passes through that validate, um, whatever it's called,
Okay.
validate schema, validate rule, I guess.
Yeah.
So you,
Again, even if it's technically bad, I'll probably try to do as much of this. Like, the less I do in Firebase, the better for my requirements.
ooh, what's this? Rules are not filters. Uh, sending.
Okay. So users, user ID. Maybe I'm just gonna rename this to. How do I rename it? Do I have to just delete it?
Perhaps.
I apparently have to delete it. Okay.
Plain JSON F. Yeah, true. That's segments. This is interesting, actually.
Oh, I didn't specify the type. How do I? What would I do here? Object? I don't even know what these types are. No, it wouldn't be object, or would it?
I guess object
I guess it'd be
would.
string. I'm just thinking for like the type and status.
Oh, the user ID? Or the. Is that user ID? I think it's user ID, right?
So like a user's the user resource, their type field or their status field, like in
Yeah.
as a like a client-side developer, I'd think of it as an enum, but
Yeah, probably string is probably the most sane way to do it. You can do
yeah.
antinums as well, but it's a little bit less readable. Maybe that's a hot take.
Yeah.
I don't think that take is very hot. Yeah, I come from the world of making everything really like originally before I worked at Stay, it was all intinums and int flags, and then
Oh,
like
I hate that.
my permission was like a bitwise operator between like a bunch of things. So like you'd have permissions that's like 214743647. It's like, what does this mean?
That's yeah, that's definitely I'm not a fan of that.
I come from slightly low level programming habits.
You can tell when people come from low-level programming, and it's yeah, I've seen some tutorials back in the day where it's like, do you guys really think the code needs to be this hard to read?
Yeah,
Like, this isn't 1960. We don't need to like save bits. Like, you can type a full name for something. It doesn't have to be like CRQ. Right? Anyways, yeah, that's a nitpick of mine.
CRQ is probably a valid assembly instruction, if I'm being honest.
Probably. All right. I'm probably screwing this all up. So yeah, I think I've already screwed something up here. So UID will be. Do the UIDs from Firebase, are those integers or strings?
I assume you can do either. Probably go with int if you can, just because it's easier to sort them in the database.
Hmm.
But if you wanted your user IDs to not be readable, then something like a UUID is a good choice.
Okay. Settings. Let me just hide the screen. Oh, I have so many windows open. This is insane. Where's OBS? Okay, sorry folks. Let me just hide that for a second. Can I? No, that doesn't help me. Our Firebase. I'll consult the Google. Like there's a way you can have it generate a UID for you. Yeah, so they have a fixed set of basic properties, a unique ID. Okay, cool.
But this is the auth one, remember? So this isn't the database thing, I think. This is what we were looking at before.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I think I can get the UID and then feed it into the database.
Right. True.
But I think I know what we can do. Let me. I hope this code isn't too old. I did actually do this before. Oh, I can't remember if I stored the user IDs in this thing though.
Oh, already did this.
I have used Firebase before. It's just it was like 4 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember the code I wrote last week. Firebase.uid. Oh, okay. Okay, so I need to find the mapper. This was this code is from back when I thought over engineering everything was the way to go.
Yep. Doesn't look too bad.
Oh, wait, this is the wrong thing. Wait, what?
I've definitely written worse.
Where's Firebase user? Oh, maybe I wrote it in here. I'm so confused. Where the hell is that coming from?
Firebase auth.
Oh, I need to go to the user model. Okay. It doesn't actually need a... I see what... okay. And this is the multi-module. If I want to go to the user model, I got to go to the domain package. This is the over engineering. It's a string.
Okay.
Is it a string though? Did I just map? I think it is a string, if memory serves. Oh well, we'll go with string for now, and I might have to change it, but that's okay.
No worries.
All right. Moving on. Let me just. Okay. Let's see here. Firebase auth gives a UID already, I believe, and you can add the same in the DB. Yep, that's that's what we're currently planning. Yeah, like what I would do is I would get the UID from auth, and then I would use that to create the user in the database.
Looks good. What else is in the model? Oh, that's a vehicle. Is username the user's first name?
Pretty much. Like I'm pretty much allowing people to put whatever they want in there.
Okay.
But yeah, something like that. Oh, now how do I do nullables? I'm assuming. I'll have to look that up. Too many tabs open. Where is RTDB? Can you have null entries? That's kind of important.
Maybe everything's nullable. And then this is the validation. Any record that doesn't exist is null.
You can. I think I know how I can check this. Let's go to Firebase note.
Are there free credits for Firebase? I might just throw open a thing and try messing with it.
There you can do like a free plan. Like mine's just like a Spark plan.
All right, I'm going in.
Okay.
Oh, I already have one. Okay, easy.
Okay, yeah, it looks like everything is nullable by default, which is cool.
That makes sense. So it's just your validation rules. If you want something to not be nullable, then you just explicitly have to put a validation rule for that.
Okay, that makes sense.
I guess.
Okay. Avatar URL. I think I'll probably just do. How do you feel about, like, so for example, if you were doing this, would you do latitude or just lat?
Yeah, I do the full names. I used to do short names, but then I kept biting myself in the ass, so I just don't anymore. I almost never do short names.
Okay. This will be
yeah.
Now I hope when they say number, floats are allowed.
Yeah, it's probably the same as JavaScript.
Cybertruck says it is not relational, right? An object cannot have a field marking it null.
Field marking it null. Making it null. Not sure what you mean.
Yeah, I don't totally follow.
I would assume that like a user not existing, for example, means the user is null, and then inside of one resource you can probably have like latitude. If it doesn't exist, then it's null. So you can have null at each layer, I would assume. And then in the validation logic, you would just have to make sure that your app can't send like user ID null. That's my guess. But yeah, I don't think it's not relational. Like there's no like foreign keys or anything that will assert that the user ID has to exist at like the data layer. That would all be in the validation, like the application logic.
So date, time zone, would that be a string?
Yeah, you could do that. Okay. And then just send an ISO 8601 string.
Okay.
put that in the chat or something.
Updated at.
Actually, there's ISO 8601, and then there's another one that I always forget. It's like 3339 or something. Yeah, it is.
Had a lot of fun with those. With Stay App. Man, working with dates is like the worst thing ever client side.
Is it? That probably
it's
mostly depends on the language.
oh, in Java, it's just bad.
There's no like parser for ISO strings or anything.
Well, so there is, and there's a more recent API. It's called the Java Time API, but everyone still uses the old Java Calendar API, which there's so many things that are stupid with it. Like, for example, it represents months with integer values. Like, so you would, to me, I'd intuitively think, okay, first month would be 01 for January. No, it's 0. Or sorry, it's not 01. So the first month I would assume is 1 for January. It's 0. So
Yeah.
when I was writing this part of the app that extensively used dates, I had like this weird off by 1 stuff going on, and the end result was I had to add 1 to like every month to make sure it was synchronized with the like the ISO date time, where like the first month is 01.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, like in Python it would be, I'll put it in the stream chat. It'd be something like this. Oh, I messed it up. Date time from ISO format. And then that would give you a date time object where you could look up the month or the day or the year or whatever on it. You can do operations with that.
Yeah. We'd be consuming that client side, and then I had to convert it into the stupid Java thing. And then because it was 01, I wrote this logic to like parse the year, the month, and the date. But because to Java, 01 is February, or I should say the Java Calendar API, it caused me some headaches. But luckily, I was actually doing test-driven development, even though that was not something many other people were doing in the company. I was able to figure that out pretty quickly.
Right. Sounds good.
Okay, so we got latitude, longitude updated. I think that's everything for the user.
Yeah, let me check. What else? Is there anything else? Status? Oh, you did status. Cool. Cleared it, updated it. Yep, that looks good.
All right,
Cool.
let's
So we have
do
a user model now.
Yep. Okay, now let's do rides next, I guess.
You know, if you can share Firebase authentication, I could help you out if I'm able to get access to the thing.
That would be freaking amazing.
RTDB. Can I add people to my account? Something like that. Project members. Yep, there is. It's click the gear, wherever the gear is. Users and permissions, I think.
Okay, I'm there.
And add me.
Okay.
You can leak my email. I don't actually care.
What's your email?
Send it.
Okay.
Sagiri Ostu.
I'm hiding the screen, so.
I said it out loud. Whoops.
Everyone just forget that.
Nah, I really don't mind. My email's chilling on my website, and everybody spams it anyway, so I'm doomed no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can find how to get in there now.
If you go like Firebase console.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Okay. Cool. Okay, and we're back in
Unterver 1. Unter, sorry.
Unter, yeah.
Unter, yeah. Okay, I wonder if this actually like. Let's see. Maybe I wonder if they use Firebase under the hood and if it does real-time syncing. That'd be funny if they didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I see users, user ID. I think mine's a bit behind actually. Did some of the user fields get lost? I thought we had more. Like, there's no lat long now. Scammed?
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I might have known what happened.
Okay.
I'll add those back in.
Okay, I'll do rides. If I can figure out how. Let's see.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, so latitude was number. I don't get.
Ah, I see.
Do I have to? It's almost like it wants me to give a default value when it's a number type, which is annoying. I'd rather it's just nullable.
You actually have to. Interesting.
I'm probably just doing it wrong, but it just when I select a number, it wants me to input a value, and when I didn't input that value, when I navigated away, it just deleted it. So
Okay.
I'm probably just using it wrong though.
Oops. For UID, we're going with string, right?
Yeah.
Or all IDs. Okay, cool. Driver ID.
Maybe someone in the chat knows what the hell I'm doing.
It was auto as well.
You're making an entry, not a schema, needs a value. Well, I suck. Okay. How do I make a schema then? Doesn't this become the schema? I'm confused.
About to find out. Status. Ah, yeah, I'm getting the same error now, actually. Interesting. So there's like...
Oh, so there's no schema. The power of no SQL.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, we don't even need to do this, right? Isn't that the whole point?
I think that is. So we actually just, I rate this all client side.
Yeah,
And-
so you... Okay, maybe we should make some sample data then instead.
Oh, okay.
Like,
that makes more sense.
okay, that actually is... That's funny.
I apologize. I suck.
Okay. So let's say we have users.
That is cool though. Okay. Oh, that's weird though. Okay, I wonder. I gotta think. Does that change anything? Well, I'm gonna get my wish of pretty much having to do everything client side then.
Mhm.
Interesting. All right, well, I guess I'll delete this stuff. Or I could make like a...
Yeah, it's okay to delete. So I guess actually maybe it does make sense for you to start with authentication then. And then once you have a user, then you would just, add your user row to the database at some point.
Mm.
Not having a field in the object equals null. Yeah. There's no explicit null though. That's interesting. Didn't actually know that.
Okay. That makes sense now. I wish I'd realized that sooner, but that's okay. It wasn't too late. All right. Crap. I wish I had like some kind of client handy, but I really don't.
How long do you think it would take for you to throw together like the base for the app?
Oh, crap.
It is beginning.
Yeah, I'd have to just set up like a throwaway client because the actual app needs to be set up with Kotlin multi-platform, and that is not a joke. That's not a 10 minutes thing.
I mean, that's fine if you wanted to do that. Um,
Let me think about this. I've got an idea. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna be pushing my computer to the limits here, but let's give it a shot. I think what I can do is I'll actually clone Space Notes. Oh god, I'll probably have to update everything on it, but we can try that. The app still actually works, surprisingly. The published version, so this might work. Okay, just give me a second, folks. Good old Android Studio. Okay, new project from version control. Space Notes. Okay, we're just syncing. Syncing, I guess, Josh, you probably aren't aware. So syncing is this magical thing that happens just before an Android developer wants to go to lunch. They turn on Gradle and have it build, and then
yeah,
it takes like 30 minutes.
sounds about right. Sounds like my friend's writing Rust. Compiling
yeah.
and debug is like a couple of seconds. Compiling and release is like 25 minutes.
Oh, with Gradle, compiling and debug can be. It depends on obviously the size of the project, and it won't actually take that long, but this may take a few minutes.
Yeah.
Tomoslav says just start the KMM client now. Unfortunately, I have to do it on my Mac, and I'm currently on Windows, so.
You have to do it in Xcode?
You have to have Xcode like installed, and yeah. Like I could probably set it up the initial repository in Windows, but I really would rather do it on the Mac and just make sure it works properly the first time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Working with iOS is so annoying. Like the hoops you have to jump through.
Yeah. You have a Mac? Do you have a MacBook or something?
Yep. It's not too old, not too recent MacBook Pro. I spent 4 hours configuring it to work last night. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we're no longer in full screen mode. Cool. All right, let me just make another branch here. Let's call this one Firebase test. Okay. I'm going to have to hide the screen for just a second, folks. Sorry about that. So let's go to Firebase. Auth repository. Where do I define?
Wait, if you're, I hear you talking on stream, but I actually don't hear you talking on Discord right now.
Oh, weird.
I think something might have broke.
Can the people who are watching? Can you guys hear both Josh and I?
I'm gonna restart my Discord.
Okay. Yeah, Josh is just gonna restart. Just give us a second. Hello? Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me. I can't hear you. Yeah, it looks like Discord's being weird. Okay, so he can hear me. I can't hear him. Great. I'll disconnect and we'll try another call. Hello? Yeah, I still can't hear you. Weird, it says voice connected. Okay. I'll keep on trucking here. Hey! We have a new viewer. Welcome, CMYUI. That is weird. It also might be on my side. I'll try restarting my Discord as well. All right, sorry, folks. I know you're staring at the Doge screen, but let's try. Let me just shut down Discord. It could also be on my end because I'm running so much crap. Hello? Weird. Okay, yeah, let's try a server. Do you have one? Hello? Weird. Yeah, Gradle Sync ruined everything. Oh, I heard something.
Hey, save.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Awesome.
Okay, easy clap.
Sweet.
I need VPN and how it works.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, just give me a moment here. I've got to figure out how to connect. How did I even connect this project to Firebase? I'm trying not to show my public Firebase data if anyone's wondering why I'm not showing the screen right now, because I don't really want to share that for one of my production apps, but it's been so many years I can't even remember where I defined that stuff. Arg. Oh, I think it's defined in the client. Sorry, I should say the presentation layer. What did I call this thing? Sign up fragment? Login activity. Okay. Oh, it's in strings. Okay. We're getting there, folks. That should not be in strings, I don't think.
Client design.
Security? What's that? Yeah, that should really not be... Oh, shoot. I don't think I'll even be able to do this. Yeah, I won't. Okay, this plan is not going to work.
Safety third's good. Safety third. Kids.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do the client, Josh.
You got a stream set up on your Mac? could be interesting.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we might have to call it here, unfortunately. So the problem is, I think my idea of security in 2017 or whenever I built this was to just not include the... Wait a minute. I can just hard code it in.
Woohoo.
I think I just didn't include the key in revision control.
What else? I can make a quick Python client just for playing around with it.
That might actually be quicker, but yeah, this thing doesn't even want to build, so
I'll do it for fun. You can keep working on if you think there's a chance of getting that one up, and I'll play with the Python version anyway.
all right, sounds good. Oh man, the joys of being an Android developer. Everything's broken.
This is relatable, even from backend.
Oh, and it uses Kotlin synthetics, which are totally deprecated. I like synthetics. Yeah, all right, at this point it'd be easier if I just create a thing from scratch. Stick no project, login activity. Enter demo. Yeah, let's fire that up.
There's an admin SDK. Why only admin?
In theory, that might have worked Cybertruck, just swapping out the Google Services JSON, but unfortunately, this whole app is not building, and it might take me like a year to fix that. So all right.
They do not have a Python client. I might have to become a JS developer real quick. Okay, I can manage that. Let's see, JavaScript. Can you write like scripts in Kotlin, or is it like do you need like a whole app, or can you effectively write anything in Kotlin?
Maybe with Kotlin native, it's predominantly JVM.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
They do have a Kotlin native, but I don't really use it, so.
But you can like write. I have like no idea. I'm so new to Kotlin. You can write it without like a UI or anything, right? It's just
yes.
You can write arbitrary Kotlin code. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I could do that. That might be a learning curve though. Maybe.
Let's see, and then I could run it. I could. It's just I'd have to configure Gradle to do that, to output a basic Java.
Deprecated is just a suggestion. True.
Honestly, like in Android, there's a lot of times where you're like, no, I'm going to use the deprecated one.
Okay.
Android could be annoying that way. I get why they got rid of Kotlin synthetics, but it was actually really nice. I liked it.
Okay, I'm writing TypeScript. Let's go. I can do auth and I can do the database stuff from TypeScript. It looks like, so that's good enough. In true JavaScript fashion, I have to include like 19 packages, but that's fine.
Yeah, part of the problem here is like, okay, so there's the web API key. Okay. Sorry, folks. At some point, I will be able to show you what I'm doing pretty quickly, hopefully, but I'm just dealing with API keys, and I don't really want to share that. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I'd rather not. Okay. And then I need that stupid JSON file. I can't even remember where to get the... there's this file called something.json. Cybershark just mentioned it, and you need to have that. I can't even remember where to get it. Oh, I need to add apps. Okay, so let's add iOS. It's not going to have an App Store ID. Let me just get this. Yeah, I'll skip all that. Okay. And I need an Android. Oh no, I hope I don't have to deal with the SHA certificates. Okay, in the app module. Almost there, I think, folks. I remember when I initially set up Firebase, they're just like, oh yeah, just throw the Google Services JSON file in the app module. And I remember it was nowhere near as simple as that, and I had to spend like days trying to work around. Hopefully that's been improved. Okay, Firebase SDK. Just give me a second, folks.
I'm just whipping this thing together right now.
Yeah, me too.
What have I missed?
I might have to set up like a web project in Firebase that gives you like a configuration thingy. Android application, GMS. Firebase.
It's not under root directory. Oh, okay. Hey, it works. Cool.
Okay. I'm gonna send you something. And you might have already installed Firebase, but
Oh, okay. Is that TypeScript? Yeah, it looks like it. Cool. Thank you.
yep. Okay, I think I can show what I'm doing again now.
I'll try not to leak that.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. Okay. So let me just Gradle sync. Oh, build error.
That's all a good project start.
Yep.
Okay. Firebase.
All build script. Oh, is this like KTS or something? Build script must appear before plugins. Okay. Didn't think I actually needed plugins here. Google was added by build file. Build.gradle. Well, there's multiple build.gradle files. Gradle, you stupid piece of sorry. Demo. Invalid user code exception. What? I think I just added something I shouldn't have. Build was configured. This is the problem with Gradle is if it could just articulate in simple terms where I clearly screwed up, but it just gives you these cryptic messages. But I'm sure it's just I've ordered something wrong. Just give me a minute. Like, Gradle's great at what it does, but at the same time, it's just such a pain in the ass to use. Okay, so build script goes on top. Repositories, fine. Dependencies, fine. I don't actually get what it's complaining about here. Build script, repositories, that's fine. Dependencies should be fine in theory. Okay, so it is the root project that it's having the issue with. Invalid user code exception. It's complaining that I'm using the Google repository? Oh, because I repeated it. Oh, I think I get what's going on. Let's try that.
Ooh, wrong database. I have accidentally done Firestore.
Oh, it's easy to get mixed up.
It's pretty funny. RTDB.js.
Too many windows.
Oh, wow, that's easy.
Oh, what the hell? Oh yeah, you're right, Cybershrek. I've never seen them add all this crap to settings.gradle. So I guess this is the latest way you do Gradle. I get it. So they grabbed all this stuff pretty much and then stuck it in here. So okay, let's back up a whole bunch then.
interface. I want to be able to create, read, update, and delete users. Interface.
I am so freaking confused. This is like the start of every Android project is fighting with Gradle.
Yeah, I got so tired of doing like the design I use in my Python projects. I showed you it, right? It's kind of large. So I ended up I have a command in my WSL now that will automatically make a project for me because I got so tired of doing it over and over and over.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's just make example service and then the service name, and it just figures out everything else.
Yeah.
That saves me lots of time. Would recommend. It just basically I have like a base repository on GitHub with a bunch of like things that are that will get replaced, and then the script does a little bit of replacing with like the name and stuff.
That makes sense.
I can show you the example service.
Yeah, it's Gradle. It's not just Gradle. It's just the dynamic nature of Android development combined with the complexity of Gradle.
String name, string type. I'm gonna have fun with this.
Versions.gradle. I don't even know, man.
Created notes.
Okay, do I have Google services in the dependencies? Okay, I think I know I'm gonna try and approach this. So let's what is it, Control Y?
Oh, now that I'm actually writing the models, I'm finding all the nitpicks I have for the models now. This is interesting. Like in vehicles, we have photo URL, but in users, we have avatar photo URL. I want to just go with photo URL, and that can be implicit based on the table.
Sounds good.
That makes a bit more sense. Description, string, make, string, model, string.
So CyberTraces, you had it working in an existing project in a stream before, right? Time for copy paste. Yeah, it's just the problem. Okay.
Sounds about right.
The problem is that old project is 4 years old. So, and
oh,
also,
sorry.
Go ahead.
We don't have a ride ID. That's a bug.
Oh,
Ride ID.
I never thought about that. Yeah. The problem is I can't just copy paste it. Yeah, because it's the other one was a multi-module project, and all right, well, I'll just try. I don't have any other solution at the moment, so let's just try. What a shit show, though.
Programming.
Yep.
That's how it'd be.
Yep.
We gotta show the people the reality.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, I guess We could have like a location class. We don't have to store latitude and longitude everywhere. And then we could just have, instead of having, because we have like latitude and longitude in users, but then we have destination lat and destination lon in users.
Hmm.
And that's getting a little bit long to say destination longitude. So if we just had destination and then it was like a coordinates object. Holy crap, I forgot how to speak for a second.
That's okay. It
Um,
happens to me too.
that might be a bit cleaner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm cool
Maybe.
with that.
Cool. Um,
Okay. Let's see what it complains about now. Okay, now we get a totally new cryptic error.
Ooh.
It's kind of like progress.
Yep. That sounds like progress to me.
Oh god. It's even more cryptic.
Let me see. There's like no string describing the error. Oh, I see. No such method exception. I'm watching on stream, so it's a bit
Oh
behind.
yeah.
That's
Like it's suddenly
something.
complaining about source directories, which you like for Android, you're not even explicitly setting that unless you're doing multi-platform. So.
Hmm. That's what I like to call based.
Like the way it's sort of implying that the error isn't in my code. Default source directory. I don't know. So weird. And now I'm getting an error that just says ASCII. What? No such. What? Okay, I'm so confused.
I haven't run my code, so I have no issues. Smiley face.
That's like that's why I don't rate tests. If I don't test it, then I don't know if it's wrong.
True.
This is a totally new Gradle error. I've never had this before. Interesting. I like how they have base plugin and abstract app plugin. That's like so meta.
That was pretty meta.
Base abstract.
Database reference.
I didn't copy settings.gradle over because the other project has multiple modules and this one doesn't. But let me see if I missed anything that wasn't to do with multi-module. I don't think I did. Nope. No, in the other project, it's just list the modules. I could try get rid of that.
Oh yeah, I see. And since it's real time and they do updates for you, it's all callback based. Yeah, I see the pain now. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore that for now.
Oh, I think I know what it's complaining about. It's an old. Yeah, it's probably just that I have an old ass Gradle version.
Okay. I allegedly have functions to read and write a user.
Okay.
I don't know how confident I am in that, but... and we have 0 error handling. Safety third. Oh, that's funky.
Kotlin Gradle plugin. And where's the Android Gradle plugin? I used to do this thing in Gradle where I would set up all the versions and dependencies in a separate file and then kind of import it. And then someone pointed out to me, like, why would you do that? It's just, now it's like an extra layer of indirection or whatever. And I'm like, oh, right, that doesn't make any goddamn sense, because now I'm like jumping around these different files for no goddamn reason.
Yeah.
That's what it's like, though, when you're like a junior and intermediate developer. You're like, oh, that looks different and cool. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, very true. Okay. Ooh, JavaScript has console.error. I didn't know that one. I feel like a JS dev now.
Okay. So Android Gradle plugin is 3.2.1. Kotlin.
Ooh, I have food here. Be right back.
Yeah, no worries. One 721. Sorry, folks, I haven't really been paying attention to the live stream. Hey, what's up, Omar? How you doing? Assalamu alaikum. 1721. Gradle version should not be in Gradle properties. Yeah. 2.2.1. I guess I'll keep that. ASCII. That is the weirdest Gradle error ever. Okay, Gradle build tools. What version do I need? Oh, that's not what I'm looking for.
Okay, food acquired. Sustenance.
I think maybe I think we might it might be a good time to stop the stream here, because I'm getting pretty damn hungry too.
Whoops. Interesting.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Hallo? Hörst du mich? Okay, I don't think his headphones are working.
Oh wait, I cannot hear you. I just realized it's doing the same thing. I can hear you on stream, but I heard you're thinking of closing up the stream. It has been quite fun. Sorry if I'm talking over you. I do not hear you.
That's all good. Can you hear me now? Oh yeah, it's still doing that thing. Okay, everybody. I think we're gonna call it for the stream today. Wow, that angle makes my arm look big. So yeah, I think we're gonna call it here, because I gotta go eat and my brain is shutting down, and trying to solve Gradle build issues while I'm hungry is a recipe for disaster.
Let me try
But
restarting my Discord.
let me just recap what we did and all the awesome stuff that Josh has helped with. So we went over the UI and talked a whole bunch about like the flow and sort of like the, how can I express this? The combination, the interplay of the back end and front end requirements. And I learned a lot. And I think I have a much clearer idea of the flows in the States. Luckily, where is Excalibur? Did I close it? Oh, here it is. So luckily, a lot of my initial ideas weren't completely out of sync, but Josh did a whole bunch. Like, just it was really good to have that perspectives from someone who's actually an active backend developer about, for example, like adding created at and timestamps, UIDs. I hadn't, or IDs in general. I hadn't even thought of having IDs for the rides, or at least I don't think I had. He probably added that in. Yeah, just a lot of stuff like that. And then also he's volunteered to help me get Firebase set up properly. I was hoping to be able to throw together a client so that we could mess around, but it just quickly devolved into me trying to solve Gradle build errors. And but Josh is actually working on a JS front end. But he just had some food arrive, and I haven't eaten. I had a protein shake at like 6:30 in the morning or 7, and it's now like almost lunchtime, noon. So I gotta go eat something. But yeah, I'm gonna keep working on it, and I don't want Josh to waste his whole weekend working on this stuff. But also the help is much appreciated. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a day for today. Thank you so much, everyone who joined along. Josh, unlike me, is not laid off, so he'll be busy, but it's possible we could get him on again. I would love to have him on again in the future for like a actual building a back-end type live stream. But yeah. Anyways, I wish I could do a better outro than that, but my brain is shutting down. So thank you so much for watching, everybody, and yeah. Peace out. Hopefully you learned something. I know I learned a lot.